Only 5 legislative days left before the Senate's scheduled August recess. The upper chamber now in a sprint to pass any piece of the president's agenda. Lawmakers telling Maria on this program their priority, passing a continuing resolution ahead of the October 1st deadline. Watch.
The Democrats are going to shut down government October 1. We have to, whether we fund it through reconciliation or through a continuing resolution. Remember, everything will get shut down again. This will be the 4th time in 2 years by the Democrats. So we've got to figure out how to fund the government. Like just how do we fund ICE and CBP through reconciliation?
So you think we're seeing another government shutdown on the horizon before the midterms then?
Absolutely.
You've got the Clarity Act. You've got the continuing resolution. You've got the NDAA. You've got the Reconciliation 3.0. Are you moving on any of this? You've got 1 week left. What's the priority next week?
Well, I feel like we're trying to put 20 pounds of potatoes in a 10-pound bag, but we need to prioritize, get as much done as we can, starting with the funding of the government. Remember, Chuck Schumer, big government socialists, they've shut the government down 3 times already. So it's time to move that, and hopefully we'll get on these other bills as well.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune releasing the text for a CR to fund the government through the 11th of December, which does have Democratic support. I want to bring in Florida Congressman Randy Fine. He also sits on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. And, you know, this proposed CR in the Senate is different from what the House already passed. I want to get your initial thoughts on what you've seen in this text.
Well, we're just getting the text and we're taking a look at it, but it is a good step forward that the Senate is proposing to keep the government funded. Make no mistake, Democrats will shut the government down right before the election because they believe it benefits them politically. So being able to keep the government open and take that issue off the table, I think is not only a political winner, but it's a winner for the American people.
One of the things that Susan Collins said, and she's the committee chair here, she said she's pleased that this bipartisan agreement prevents the Office of Management and Budget's proposed rule regarding federal financial assistance from taking effect. What did you make of that? Because this seems to be the reason that it became, bipartisan supported.
Well, Democrats want to reduce the federal government's ability to restrict funds from states and local governments that refuse to work with the federal government. You know, we're all supposed to be working together for the benefit of the American people. But when states and local governments hide illegal immigrants from federal law enforcement agencies or do other things that damage the federal government should have some say. This continuing resolution would reduce the federal government's ability to do that, but we have to take a look and see if it's worth swallowing that hard in order to keep the federal government open.
Okay, certainly, yeah. A shutdown into the midterms would be disastrous probably for both sides. Republicans have really struggled to pass the president's agenda, and there's new polling that reflects Americans are frustrated with the majority party. A new CNN poll finding Democrats lead Republicans by 8 points on a generic ballot. Democrats also holding a significant advantage in voter enthusiasm, Congressman. We're less than 100 days away from Election Day. What can you do? What messaging can be done here to boost support for your party?
Well, I think first off, we have to focus on what we've done, passing the one big beautiful bill, which eliminated all of these taxes on the American people. My constituents have $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 more per year because of those tax cuts. We release it county by county. But I also understand why people are frustrated, particularly because they want the Save America Act passed. And despite the fact that we've passed it 6 times in the House, the Senate hasn't passed it once. They see that frustration. They see the continuing resolution. They need to see us pass more. And I know that's why we're determined to get it done every single day.
Progressive candidates have been gaining traction across the country now. And it's got the Democratic Party worried, including longtime strategist James Carville. Listen to him talk about the rise of socialism.
I'm not sure what to understand what Madame is doing, but to talk about the larger Democratic Party post the election in Michigan going forward, I am not going to be in the same party with Hasan Piker. I can tell you that right now. If he becomes a force in the Democratic Party, I'm out of here. I have no intention of ever being in the same political party with that guy. Now, I think that a overwhelming majority of Democrats agree with me. It may be that the two-party system is just going to be under tremendous stress here in the coming months. I mean, you see it with Tucker and Martin Taylor Greene and on the Republican side. You see it going on right now. And I can't sit here and tell you for certain how this is going to turn out. But the one thing I can tell you for certain, Hasan Piker and James Carville are not going to be in the same political party.
And, you know, the race to watch this week, of course, is the Senate primary in Michigan. Congresswoman Haley Stevens is facing off against progressive Abdul El-Sayed. Recent polling shows he's got a slight advantage, Congressman. I mean, do you think that this helps the Republicans with somebody like him?
Well, I think it helps Republicans. I think it's terrible for America. We need two competent, non-crazy parties in this country. And I don't think these candidates are progressive. I think they are insane. The policies that they're advocating would literally destroy the country and are responsible for millions of deaths around the world. That's why Democrats need to do what we've done in the Republican Party, which is push these lunatics like Tucker and Marjorie Taylor Greene off to the side. You know, President Trump excommunicated Tucker. Marjorie Taylor Greene quit. We've dealt with our crazies. We need Democrats to do the same.
Lee Carter's on set with me. Lee, jump in here.
So I think it's really fascinating because obviously there is a rise in democratic socialism. And I think the American people are saying that they're frustrated, the system isn't working, and they want to see something better. But ultimately what I think is primaries reward passion. So we're looking at primaries right now, and we're seeing one after the other. The Democrat socialists are winning, I think, in large part because they're speaking to this passion. These people are so frustrated, they want to try something differently. Ultimately, when we get to the general, I think we need to reward addition, and I'm not sure this does that. How are you going to speak to the American people in the middle, like as we make the pivot from the primaries to the general, the midterms? What do you want to say to them?
Well, that's a great question. I think what rewards in elections is fear and anger. And I think Democrats are much angrier with the successes we've made under President Trump than Republicans are. We feel happy and complacent. But how do we talk to the middle? I think the answer is we have to talk about these insane policies that Democrats are proposing. When people hear the ideas that are coming out of these people's mouths, they gasp and they find it hard to believe these are serious. The Democrats will try to run these people as moderates in line with the American people, but the fact of the matter is they are not. And so we have to contrast our sane policies against their crazy ones. And if we do that, we will win in November.
All right, messaging, there you go. Congressman Randy Fine, thanks for being with us. We'll be right back, everybody.